In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. As of today, 6 million cases of COVID-19 in the United States. 186,000 people have died from the disease. Public health officials in all 50 states and 5 large cities have been notified by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They are to prepare to distribute a vaccine for coronavirus to healthcare workers and other high-risk groups as soon as late October or early November. This past week, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the country's top infectious disease expert, and Dr. Stephen Hahn, the head of the Food and Drug Administration, have said that a vaccine may be available for certain groups before the clinical trials are completed. That is only if the data is overwhelmingly positive. Joining us right now is Dr. Tyson Bell, critical care infectious disease specialist at the University of Virginia. Doc, do you buy this nonsense? I call it nonsense regarding this here because Trump desperately wants to rush out with something before the election to show, oh, I'm paying attention to this. That whole plasma, news conference, that was a joke as well. And the FDA had to come back and apologize for it. Are people in the medical community actually buying this?
I think there's a lot of skepticism, Roland, honestly, because this administration has made it clear that they want to have a vaccine out and available before the election. And unfortunately, the FDA and the CDC have both put out signals that they've been bending to political pressure. So we do think that this is an ambitious timeline. Of course, if there's something could be ready and available by late October, early November, that would be great. But based on the enrollment, the pace of enrollment now and the approval process, that's incredibly ambitious. So there is some skepticism.
So this supposed vaccine will be first for healthcare workers like you. Will you take a vaccine without knowing the clinical trial results?
Well, that's an important question because there is an approval process that the FDA goes through, and there's 2 different main approval pathways. One is the emergency use authorization. This is the way that convalescent plasma and hydroxychloroquine were approved, and you see how, at least for hydroxychloroquine, that was revoked. It's a lower standard of evidence to get a product on the market under the guise that you have to get something out there quickly before all the evidence is available. It would be much better to get it fully licensed before distributing it to billions of people, billions with a B, because we have to be absolutely sure that something that we're giving to healthy people is not going to make them sick.
Well, but the thing here again, Fauci has been saying for the longest, take your time going through this. Trump is saying rush, rush, rush. I'll be honest. I don't trust anything from the FDA. I don't. I don't trust anything Hahn says because they are bowing to the pressure from Trump. And I can't look to them as a credible, fair source, knowing full well the kind of pressure he has exerted them to skip over steps, skip processes, throw them out the window in order to fit his narrative.
I think there are a lot of issues here with erosion of public trust in our institutions. And, our thought was, that the FDA and the CDC, where public health professionals have made their careers, would not succumb to these sort of pressures. I want to point to comments by Peter Marks, who heads the FDA division on vaccine development. He has indicated publicly that if he felt that the FDA was succumbing to public pressure, that he would resign. Now, the FDA, before they approve a product like a vaccine, they listen to an advisory committee that's made up of independent experts around the country. It's called the Vaccine and Biological Related Products Committee. So if an approval comes, this committee will review the results of the clinical trials and give a recommendation. The FDA follows through with it. Their next meeting is scheduled for October 22nd. It's a public meeting. I think this will be an important way to see if the inner working, to see what data is available, if there is any data available, and to make sure that we're going through and following the science. Now, this is one instance, Roland, where we absolutely cannot put the politics before the science.
And again, look, you're already dealing with a disease that, frankly, health people have no idea how it really affects us. You've got these sports leagues, these conferences in college. I saw the Penn State head of medicine, saying that of the players that tested positive, showing inflammation around the heart tied to a particular disease as well. And folks just don't know. And I'm sorry, I just can't, for the life of me, I can't listen to anything that comes out of Donald Trump or Mike Pence's mouth where the public can say, oh, rest assured the federal government has done what it's supposed to do when it comes to this vaccine to make sure it is safe. No, he wants to be able to say, I did it. I did it. I did it. See, I'm trying to save Americans. And so they want it out a week before the election, not caring what happens, frankly, to people after the election. They just want to win.
Yeah, we have to make sure that we follow the science, Roland. And I can't stress it enough that we've had several instances now where that comes into question. And through different pandemics and public health crises, we've always had the trust of the CDC, the NIH, and the FDA to do what's right as far as the science. No one ever gets everything right, but we trust that we're following the science and not bending to political pressure. And unfortunately, we're in a different time now with a different president. And we just have to make sure that as public health professionals, that we're being diligent with the science, that we're messaging people appropriately on forums like this, so that when there is a product available, we can be sure that it's going to be safe for people.
All right, then. Well, look, I mean, I think, again, what our goal, very simple, is to ensure that our folks are safe. And, you know, I just wish, you know, you had people of courage who had the audacity to tell Donald Trump no. Then if he said, I'll fire you, they would say, fine, fire me, but I have to do this for the good of the American people.
All right, Roland, when something's out, call me again and we'll talk.
All right, Dr. Tyson Bell, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Stay
All
safe.
right, Erica, I don't trust the administration. I don't.
No,
at
and
all.
none of us have any. Yeah, I don't either. When you think about, too, the partnership that this administration afforded a Pfizer and a Moderna, both of these these companies, billions of dollars in federal money to produce this vaccine A, vaccine B. And when you start looking at, okay, now these organizational charts have been sent to public state health officials, telling these individuals to get ready for a possible infrastructure set up for people to receive this vaccine A, vaccine B. And interestingly enough, thinking about the population that's going to be impacted by this, the lion's share of service workers are Black, brown, and people of color. So that they're going to be subjected to maybe one or two of these differing vaccines, a courtesy of the Trump administration, whose real focus is the economy by way of the stock market, which we all know the stock market is not the economy. And so because this administration has not, in fact, been truthful, that they have weaponized the Department of Health, HHS, that they've weaponized the FDA. When you think about parts of the CDC that have been weaponized, that we just can't trust because they've not laid out a national strategy. But what they have, in fact, done is skipped over to say, okay, so 186,000 souls have gone. But you know what? We have the answer to it, and we're probably going to have it ready early November, November 2nd. When you have a November 3rd general election, I would say to people, this same person that bragged about being able to remember words that are related to a test for people that unfortunately are experiencing dementia, that this very same person that said it was like magic, it was going to go away, that people not be tricked, that people follow the money and actually listen to the science of what people and what we need to do as a nation to actually curb the spread of COVID and be diligent in waiting for a vaccine that is going to take at least 18 months to 2 years plus, as the science has shared with us.
I ain't got no faith in these folk at all, Reese.
I don't either. And I think that it's very rational to be skeptical or even cynical about this administration's motivations, especially how they have rushed these so-called treatments that aren't in fact treatments to hospitals. However, I do believe in following the science, and I think I will reserve judgment until we actually have something. At this point, it just appears to be more of a publicity stunt, a PR campaign to try to make it seem like Trump has it all under control. But I mean, I don't believe for any reason, for any second, that the United States would be the first to have a vaccine when there's a collective of 170 nations, including the World Health Organization, that is a collaborative on getting a vaccine, which the United States has declined to join. And so I know one thing that's for damn sure: if they don't have the vaccine and Trump puts out a vaccine, I will not be taking that. But I still urge everybody to follow the science and hope. And not just hope, but critically assess whether or not the science is the one that's leading the charge on this vaccine push, or if it's propaganda and the Trump campaign wanted to be reelected.
Thing for me, Greg, is again, I'm not afraid of a vaccine. So I'm not one of these anti-vaxxers. I just don't trust these SOBs, and the media is falling for this. Man, ain't no way in hell this vaccine gonna be ready before the election.
Nope.
No, of course not. And one of the things I really appreciate, and I think we all, I'm sure, appreciate about your interview with Dr. Bell, is that you asked him straightforward. And he, as a medical professional and a scientist, could not say, but his silence was telling. You asked him, you won't take it? And he said, well, you know, we're going to see. We're going to follow the science. And yeah, follow the science is like rule of law. It sounds good in theory. The American presidency has become more and more an imperial presidency, really since the Vietnam era, since the Nixon administration. The courts have kind of abdicated their role. The federal legislature has not served as a check on power. And so, you know, I'm reading a book by Ryan Alford called Permanent State of Emergency. And one of the things that Alford talks about is the fact that what we have now in America prior to Donald Trump really is in some ways an elected dictatorship. The executive branch has kind of overflown its boundaries. So now when you have a consigliere like Tony Barr at the Attorney General's office, I mean, and you saw the news today that broke that they want to now prosecute Google and Google's parent company Alphabet for antitrust violations. They want to get that in the pipeline. Now, Barr is overruling career prosecutors at the Department of Justice because they want to get it done before November. There is absolutely no way there's going to be a vaccine. And like you, I'm not putting anything in my arm with a memory of Tuskegee and Henrietta Lacks and what happened to Johns Hopkins, the body snatchers of the cadavers. No, hell no. And in fact, whether a vaccine comes or not, I'm not an anti-vaxxer either, God knows. But we all know that this is being driven, to Reese's point and to Erica's point, this is being driven by politics. You can't trust these people. And when you've allowed a federal executive branch to overthrow the boundaries of its authority through the steady erosion of the rule of law in the judiciary and the federal legislatures abandoning their oversight, then you end up, when you got a white nationalist, a fascist, and his toady consigliere at the Attorney General's office, hey, hold on for all your life, because they're not making any decisions in the best interest of anything other than, as Erica said, the criminal enterprise called Trump Incorporated and the white nationalists who are getting their judges on the benches and getting to pursue their agendas. But we are an afterthought, and they will throw us in the trash, brother.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Seek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spiel. They've had a couple of great products we want you to check out. This is their virtual reality headset, which, of course, allows for you to watch the content on Seek.com right through your phone. Check it all out in virtual reality. In addition to that, you can also look at 360-degree video on your phone as well. And so that's what this particular headset is. You just simply take your phone, drop it right into the headset, and that's it. Then, of course, you have their 360-degree 4D headphone, which is right here. Of course, course, Bluetooth enabled, tremendous bass sound. You hear the sound all around. Also, gamers usually got a headset used for that as well. And so you can get one or both of these products or subscribe to Seek.com by going to their website, Seek.com, Seek.com, with the promo code. Come on, guys, show it, RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020. And so go to Seek.com. And so we certainly appreciate Seek being a partner here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, and of course being a sponsor of our bi-weekly tech segment.